Greetings, Taku Faithful, and no, you are not dreaming. This is not a mirage. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, back after my 4-month hiatus to bring you all my review of the series premiere of Black Sails right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly, and finally I'm back to bring you all my first thoughts, first impressions of the new Starz original series Black Sails. Now, general thoughts on the premiere. This episode pretty much gave me everything I was expecting. We get introduced to 3 main conflicts that I'll get into more detail later on in the review about. And we also get introduced to a array of characters, both on the side of the main reoccurring characters that I think we'll be seeing more of, and some intrigue characters that we see little snippets of, but they're shrouded in mystery, and that's the whole point, because we're supposed to learn more about these characters as the series continues. We got a good bit of action, a good bit of drama, some pretty good dialogue in this thing. So all in all, I would say pretty good premiere. About what I would expect, especially coming from Starz, and especially like I've seen a couple of the promos, some of the previews and whatnot with the behind the scenes material, and for what I think they're going for with this series, I think they started it off on a good note with what we got in this episode. So with that being said, let's dive in. Let's go in. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the story. Now, first, I want to start with this note. I do want to start with this note. I've been seeing promos for Black Sails for a year. I shit you not. The first teaser they ever showed for this series premiered last January. So it's been a year since I've known that this series has been coming out. And of course I knew, they're gonna do pirates. All right, fine, let's roll with this. But what I didn't know until literally about 2 or 3 days ago, when I looked it up on Wikipedia, that this is actually a prelude. This is a prequel to Treasure Island. And I didn't expect that at all, which is very interesting, because what it does is, while it sort of sets the foundation for, characters, for conflicts, and for a lot of foreshadowing and things of that nature, Easter eggs that they can reference in this series from the novel, it also leaves a lot open for them to expand the universe, for them to go off into uncharted territory, no pun intended, with the story and with the characters, things that we haven't seen. And also, I like the fact that while I know it's like, okay, so this is the reference, this is sort of the source material. I haven't read Treasure Island since I was a kid. There is very little of that novel that I can recall. So it is kind of refreshing, because it's like I'm going in this, fresh eyes, completely blind. So now, preambling this review with that little tidbit of information, let's go ahead and jump into the story. So the series starts off in 1715 during the golden age of piracy, and we are introduced to Captain Flint and the crew of the Walrus as they are commandeering a ship which contains the last bit of information they need in order to pursue what we find out later. I would say the last third of the episode is actually a Spanish treasure galleon, pretty much a ship that contains, as they said in the series, about $5 million, 5 million Spanish dollars of cargo. So it's a very valuable vessel, and it looks like Captain Flint and his crew, it looks like they have they've actually been tracking this sucker for about 3 months now, I think is what they said. And up until this, it's been leading nowhere. And it's actually caught Flint almost in a mutiny until, finally when they get this ship, when they get this journal and they notice that a page is missing from it. And, that of course creates some more conflict with what's going on. But But that's pretty much where the story starts. That's where where we begin with these characters. And of course, I thought it was a great idea. You know, you want to talk about a pirate story? Yeah, let's start things off with a mutiny. That's always fun, or at least the looming threat of one. So yeah, so that's pretty much what the main juxt of this episode has been. Flint dealing with that, because on the one hand, it's like, wow, I'm so close to getting to this vessel, and there's one thing standing in my, well, the one thing standing in my way immediately is, of course, the missing page from the captain's log. But then the other thing in the back of his mind that he has to deal with is this bullshit mutiny from one of his crew members trying to take his place as captain. Now, on the flip side of that, and I'll get into a bit more detail when I talk about the characters, but we get introduced to Jim Silvers, who's one of the main characters of Treasure Island. And we get introduced to him because he was a member of the crew that, you know, of the ship that was commandeered. And he has the missing page. He has that missing page that's the schedule for the ship that's inside the captain's log, and he's been holding on to it. Now, and of course no one knows this but Jim, and of course the young woman he meets when he's in New Providence. So that's pretty much the main crux that's been going on. Now, throughout the episode, we get introduced to a bunch of other characters, and there are some subplots that are introduced. But right now, I'm not too sure what to make of them. I'm not sure if these are things that are, you know, going to be season-long subplots, if they're going to be wrapped up in a couple of episodes. I'm not really sure what all to think about it. But there is a lot of interesting stuff at work, and, you know, pretty good material here so far. So, now, in regards to the plot, though, I will say I like how, from the get-go, we are introduced to what I'm going to refer to as three main plots in terms of, and keep up with me about this, we have what is known, what we should expect, and, of course, the unknown. So, the first thing that is known is, of course, the pirates' conflict with the Navy. You know, this is the golden age of piracy, and of course we know pirates, they're outlawed by, you know, pretty much every kingdom in the known world. And the Navy, being the law enforcement of the seas, they're the ones who confront pirates on pretty much a day-to-day basis, and they're the main authority, the main imposing force, the man, if you will, of pirates, you know, around the world. So that conflict, which, we get the scene where one of the ships is tailing them at the beginning, and then of course one of the captain of said ship arrives in New Providence about halfway through the episode, and then there's a confrontation there. So off the bat, they're letting us know that, yeah, Flint's crew, which is a pretty well-known, renowned crew, yeah, they got to deal with this. This is what they do every day. This is just Tuesday for them. And we know that. We know that. And of course we pay attention to history, how that plays out. So, but you know, I'm glad that they're there. They're a reminder to let us know that, hey, this is as fantastical as we can get with it. It's still set within the realm of reality, within the realm of possibility. The Navy, if you're a pirate, you're going to have to deal with the Navy. There's no way around it. So have fun. So that's what is known. Now let's talk about what we should expect. And this is actually the aspect of the show that I'm most intrigued by, is the conflict between pirate crews, and more specifically the captains. From the get-go, we're introduced to a rival captain of Flint, Captain Vane. Not much is said about him, not really, other than he hopes to take Flint's place in New Providence. I mean, Flint's crew has always been the top earners of that entire network in New Providence until recently, when they started going on this wild goose chase. Vane wants to step in. Not only is he hoping to recuperate, from the fallout of Flint's mutiny. He actually does put his hand in Flint's mutiny, or what was to be Flint's mutiny in this episode. He makes his presence known, to some people. He goes ahead, he puts his hand in that. He lets one of the other characters, Eleanor, who's pretty much, I guess you could call her chief of operations on New Providence. If her dad's the CEO, then yeah, she's the chief of operations. And he lets his intentions known to her from Jump Street that he wants to replace Flint. He wants to be the top earner. He says, whatever the future holds for New Providence, I'm going to be a part of it. And that's what intrigues me the most, is what is the nature of the relationship between the pirates? Because, you know, the thing with piracy, it's not all, hey, we're all in this together. No, it is very much a dog eat dog, shark eat shark, you know, big fish, little fish world. It's every crew for himself. So I'm real interested to see how that whole thing plays out. And then, of course, the unknown is the hunt for this ship. I have absolutely no idea how this thing is going to pan out. I think it would be extremely optimistic to think that Flint and his boys, you know, that they're going to, you know, be searching for this thing all season long, and then finally by season's end they're going to reap the benefits of, you know, this manhunt. Nah, I don't think that's going to happen. No. I don't think so. I think there's going to be a lot of turmoil. I think there's going to be a large body count by the time they get to this ship. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think they're actually gonna fail. I think something's going to happen within the course of the series or season, because I don't think the search for this ship is gonna take more than a season. I think something's gonna happen where they're gonna end up failing. How and why is why we tune in every week, right? So all three of those things, I'm actually looking forward to, you know, seeing resolved later on in the series. Now let's talk about the characters. From jump, I like Captain Flint. I like how he's introduced as kind of the silent type. You know, always thinking, always trying to, you know, figure out his next move, like, you know, like a chess game is going on in his head 24/7. And he has to lead and command this crew that, let's face it, has been very unhappy with him for a very long time, and he's trying to hold the reins of all this. But at the same time, he is very ambitious, and you can see it. You can hear it when he speaks. You can see it in his eyes. The actor, whose name I have not gotten yet, does a great job at portraying the character. And I mean, yeah, I just love the way he commands that character. The mannerisms, the speech patterns, the way he moves, the way he looks, everything, you know. The way he looks both physically and also, you know, when he's addressing characters, how he perceives them and whatnot. That whole ensemble is very well put together. I love it. Jim Silvers from Jump Street, the second he was introduced, I'm like, this is my guy. I like him. What's curious though, and this is the note I'm following up from what I mentioned earlier, is now I know that Silvers and Flint are main characters of Treasure Island. So and this is and this episode introduces Silvers to the Walrus. So what I'm saying is, since I kind of have an idea of where he ends up and what that relationship becomes, I'm wondering if they intend to make Flint and Silvers dual protagonists, instead of Silvers just being like a main character or a main supporting character, that in time he will, like, the story will follow him as much as it does Flint, because he's gotten plenty of screen time in this episode. I would probably even say the screen time's been half and half, but the difference is, though, we've already gotten into Flint's head. We've already gotten into his motives, his intentions, his ambitions, his goals, all that. Whereas Silvers has kind of been in the background. We don't really know what's up with him yet. We haven't gotten in his head yet. We don't know what his goals are, what his motives are, what it is he wants to accomplish in the series. So, because I mean, at this point, all we know is he wants to live. And we get the sense that eventually he wants to leave. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be free. He doesn't really want to be on a pirate ship. He doesn't really have any desire to be a pirate. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they work with those two characters. Now, of course, characters that intrigue me. Off top, Eleanor. She's I like how when we're introduced to her, she's head lady in charge. She's the one calling the shots, and she's not afraid to go toe to toe with the men there. But then towards the end of the episode, she gets that slap. Well, actually, no, it was a punch. It was a closed-handed punch of reality, to where while she may run the show to some extent in New Providence, she's still a woman in this day and age. You know what I mean? So, of course, everything we know about women and their role in society, their rights, freedoms, so on and so forth. As much as Eleanor, the freedoms that she's had, that she's been afforded, and the position that she holds, as much as she can throw her weight around all day, but she got that reality check that no, you aren't gonna have the last word. You aren't in charge. Like Captain Vale says, it's like he mentions to her how she's not the one that calls the shots. Her father is, and her father always treasures profits over daughters. So right then and there, we know it's like, okay, this is going to be. Being a woman in this day and age is hard enough, but there may be a potential conflict between her and her father. We already saw a conflict of interest in this episode, and then of course it's alluded to that she has a past relationship with Captain Vale. So that could be another hurdle that she'll have to, deal with later in the series. I'm interested to see, though, how her character deals with these things. What does she do? What maneuvers does she make? How does she deal with the obstacles that she has to face, or that she will have to face? You get what I'm saying? I'm real interested to see how they do that. For fuck's sake, please. Oh, please don't let her fall into some cliche bullshit. Please don't. Oh, please. Okay. Stay optimistic, Larry. This series is not going to go down that route. It's not going to go down that route. It's going to stay the course. Clear skies. Still seas. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, so then that brings me to Captain Vale. Once again, like I mentioned before, one of the probably the character that intrigues me the most, or at least on par with Silver's in the series, especially since he doesn't have that much screen time. And of course, that actor, love him from Shameless. So as soon as I found out he was on another series, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm watching it. That's my boy. So yeah, I'm interested in his character. I'm interested in his crew, especially the female swordsman that he has in his crew. She is probably the character that has the most intrigue, because nothing is said about her. We see her, she has a couple of lines of dialogue. This broad, and then and the way she's filmed and whatnot, always have the hat over her eyes, so you never really get a clear picture of her eyes. Talks slow, never really looks anybody directly in the eye. That clearly I know what they're doing with that broad, and I'm picking up on it. It's like, all right, yeah, y'all got me. I'm interested. All right, let's play. All right, let's go. So let me see. Anything else about this episode I want to mention? The action was really good, especially the duel at the end. I did not expect it to be as graphic as it was, and I like how, I want to say about halfway through that fight, the swords were done. It was just straight up bare knuckle brawl. I dug that. And when Flint ends that fight, it's like, Jesus, he beats the guy to death. It's like, wow. And yeah, in the opening sequence, we hit the ground running with action, with them commandeering the ship and whatnot. I thought it was awesome. Interesting enough, though, one thing I do want to point out, because it caught my attention immediately. You'll notice if you go back and you watch the opening scene of the episode, pay attention to how much the crew of the Walrus actually accomplishes through intimidation and not brute force. Go back, watch that opening sequence, and pay attention to what I mean. How when they threw the grenade to get the crew, to go in and ambush the crew. But But out the gate, you know, you got the guy with the, you know, war paint and everything, and the teeth and bone necklace, and But go back and look how much they actually accomplish through fear and not through actual manpower. I like that, and I actually want to see more of that in the series, because Flint does have, when he's talking to Billy on the boat, when he has that monologue about, you know, when kings, what they deem the pirates, they don't make them their adversaries and they don't make them criminals, they make them monsters. And that was very interesting that he mentioned that in his monologue. So I wonder if the series will work with that idea, that theme, that, you know, these pirates are, you know, to the common man, they're almost like myths. They're like legends, like the boogeyman. And I wonder if they will actually take that in stride with the characters of using that to their advantage, you know? I'll be very interested to see if they do that. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up my review. All in all, like I said, solid premiere. Satisfied me, and I'm looking forward to next week. Definitely, especially since it looks like the whole thing with Silver's having that missing page, looks like that's going to come to the forefront immediately. Because that was in the preview for the next episode, is where he's already getting paranoid that Flint is on him. So I'm like, whoa, that escalated quickly, which is why I didn't really want to comment on the subplots too much, because I can't make a call on how soon this stuff's going to get resolved. So all in all, I'm liking the series so far. So with that being said, this is going to wrap up my review. In the comments below, leave your thoughts on the premiere, and also let me know some of your thoughts, some of your expectations, predictions on what you think will happen later in the season. And okay, in other news, I have a massive update video that's going to be posted on the channel tomorrow night, so keep an eye out for that. And with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, signing off, and until next time, peace.